guys, it's Tessa. Today I kind of just wanted to do an easy project for me. I'm making a pair of fingerless gloves. I'm using the Tin Can Knits Maze Mitts pattern, I believe is what it's called. It's free on Ravelry. It has child size, a small adult, medium adult, and large adult. I don't have very large hands, but I like having a lot of space, so I'm making the large size. I have made two other variations of mittens before. My very first pair are these ones. This is I don't think this was a pattern actually, but it's a 2x2 rib, and I just did like the width that worked for me. Cast off my stitches for the thumb and then kept working. These are fairly comfortable. I believe they are made from the Michael's yarn Impeccable, either Impeccable or it's called Facets or something like that. But these are made from like 100% acrylic, which is nice. I wasn't really a big fan of them when I first made them, just because the colors are kind of crazy. I think I just used 2 balls of one color, but because they started differently, obviously the colors aren't going to match perfectly. They're starting to pill a bit, if you can tell, specifically on this thumb area here. I don't wear these too often, just because one, it doesn't really get cold enough here in California, or at least where I'm at, and two, because they're acrylic, they don't feel good. I don't know how to explain it other than they just don't feel good. Because of the type of fiber, it's kind of a woven, not a woven, kind of like a roving, where it's not really twisted together much. It's just not ideal for this type of project. The other version of mittens I have made were a Christmas gift to my husband this year, I believe, or I guess last year it would be, so the 2023 December is our gift for him. These are massive on my hands, but they fit his hands nicely. So we have these crows and then just some like spikies here in the middle. I believe the crow pattern was something I just found on Pinterest, and then I saw that a lot of other mittens do this like inside here where it's like these diamonds, I guess is what I want to call them. And then I think the point piece here on both sides was free-handed more or less, but the base crow pattern is from a pixel grid I found, and then I transferred it onto Stitch Fiddle, made all of the notations I needed to make. The only real problems I'd say with these ones are the thumbs. I don't know what these are really called. I'm gonna call them afterthought thumbs because they're kind of the same idea as afterthought heels. I think typically in socks, if you do an afterthought heel, you're basically just redoing the toe decreases essentially, or at least that's what I've seen. Don't quote me on it. But with these, the only real problem is I don't think I made this part long enough. And with that, the way I did the decreases, not on this one, but on this one, let's see if I'll focus on it. The decreases are done with a decrease 2 stitches and then decrease 2 stitches immediately, while this one, let's see if that'll focus again, is just done by decreasing 2 at a time and having the V be the center of the stitch. And so this one fits a bit nicer on the thumb, while this one's a little bit bulkier on the thumb. Again, it is not nearly cold enough here for these wool acrylic mittens, but I get into my little moods and I want to make things. He really likes them. Green's my favorite color, but these are supposed to be off of like his Harry Potter house. He's a Slytherin. And then I was gonna make myself a yellow and dark gray pair for me, and then I never did. And I'm using a couple different colors, but I've so far just started the ribbing on the first one. To begin with, I'm using the Brooklyn Tweeds Tones in Nimbus Undertone. So if you don't know about the Brooklyn Tweeds tones, they have undertone and overtone. It just means that one tone is slightly darker and one slightly lighter. Essentially you're overtoning the yarn to get the darker shade. So I think this is actually Nimbus Overtone then, because it's darker than the other one. I don't know, I got these for my birthday and I don't have the tags. I was stupid and got rid of all the tags. And then we have this one I also got for my birthday, and this is the Plymouth Worsted Merino Superwash in the color 55 or Cool Gray. A very fun fact about me is I'm moderately colorblind. I can tell that both of these are like blue toned, but this looks blue. this doesn't look gray pretty much at all to me. Like, especially when they're next to each other like this, I see like fully blue. I don't know. I tried putting it in the gray section, it didn't make sense there. I tried putting it in the blue section, it doesn't make sense there. So I have just entrusted my husband to tell me what color it is. But yeah, so we are currently on the ribbing section still. There's a total of 18 rows of this. For the maze pattern, it's essentially made, I'm trying to explain this. You can make essentially two facing the same direction because there's no like style problems. So for instance, with these guys, I had to switch the direction the crows were looking in to make sure that they looked correct. But with this pattern, the only difference or indication of a left or right side is on the first four stitches you do a purl and then knit 3. So essentially that piece plus the purl that comes after it can be switched for the left hand or the right hand pretty easily, which is nice because I've dealt with some patterns where it's the most complicated thing in the whole world. But yeah, so that's so far. I will check in once we're a little bit farther down. And I think I mentioned this, but maybe I didn't. The way I'm holding these yarns, as you can kind of tell, is I'm switching every 2 rows from the cool blue and the nimbus, but holding the, I didn't even tell you this yarn. This is the 3rd yarn we're using. And I'm holding this one every row and switching every 2 rows for the gray / blue colors. This is the Patones Croy sock yarn in Singin' the Blues. Originally it was supposed to be yarn for a pair of socks for my husband. I really didn't buy enough, so I was like, I don't know how to do this. So now I'm using it. I'm trying to get through some of my stash because I have a lot of yarn there, and I also just bought more yarn for more projects, and it's getting a little out of hand. But yeah, I'll check in if I have any updates and let you know. My overall thoughts on this pattern is that it works up pretty quickly, especially since it's just mitts and not full gloves. The pattern does have pretty detailed instructions on how to do the full gloves versus the fingerless mitts, and it's pretty clear on which section is for which section. It only took me about 3 to 4 hours to make one of them, especially with how much switching back and forth of the colors I was doing. I completed both mitts over about 2 nights. It even includes some diagrams of the shapes the mitts are supposed to look like at different stages. And the sizing is for toddler, child, and then adult, small, medium, and large. The Brooklyn Tweeds Nimbus is a bit of a rougher wool, and the Plymouth Superwash is a softer wool because it's a superwash. I know you're not supposed to mix a superwash with a non-superwash, but I don't really care. I don't plan on washing these too much, and it's not like it snows here in my area of California. Another thing about the Nimbus, because of the type of wool that it is, people often refer to it as being sticky. And this doesn't mean like it sticks to your hands or anything like that. It means sticky versus smooth really just means sticky yarn will kind of cling to itself a bit more, and smooth yarn or just non-sticky yarn doesn't really tend to cling to itself. You'll notice this in rougher wools. You'll even notice this in roving type yarns as well, where it'll want to cling to itself, and undoing it's a little bit harder because, again, it's locking into itself a bit. One of the big things that I wanted to talk about here is my stash busting. I have too much yarn. I never thought I would say that, but my yarn area / desk is getting insane. It's getting so out of control so quickly. I have 12 little cubbies of yarn, plus several Joann's bags of yarn, plus several bags of like project bags, plus just kind of a pile of yarn at this point in one section. It's becoming a little bit out of hand. I need to stop buying for projects that aren't going to be worked on until a certain time. I need to stop buying yarn that doesn't have a project in mind as well. So what I kind of mean by both those statements is that I am going to make a corner-to-corner Halloween blanket, and I already bought all the yarn for it, and I don't plan on starting it till 2 weeks from now. So why did I buy it all now when I could have waited? And then on the contrary of that, I'll sometimes just go into Joann's or Michael's and I'll see a yarn that looks really pretty and I'll buy it. When I have no real plans for it, I don't buy enough of it to do too much with, so then it just kind of lives in my stash at that point. And that becomes a little bit annoying as well, because then what do I do with it? I don't have enough of it to do anything with. With that as well, I want to start with my natural fibers. So that's my few things of wool I have and all of the cottons I have. I have a ton of cotton yarn. I think if I get those down a bit, all I'll have left is the acrylics. And I have a lot of acrylic yarn / just non-natural fiber yarn, but the way I had it organized before I bought all of this wool and cotton, it was manageable. I need to know what I have. I, at one point in time, had a spreadsheet of all the yarn I owned, as well as the quantity of it, and all of that. I'm going to work on one of those again and make it. But I also think just in general, I just need to organize my stash. That will probably make me feel a bit better about everything as well. Alright, so we finished the mitts, or the fingerless gloves, whatever you want to call them. I love them. The only problem I had with this pattern was on the second mitt. I think I did my counting wrong, and I ended with the other yarn versus the one I ended the first glove with. So this is the first one I did, and you can see here at the top that I ended with the lighter gray and not the blue nimbus or gray nimbus color. But on this one, I ended with the nimbus color, while the cool gray is the row below it. I think what happened is when I was doing the increases for the thumb, looking at how it's been done, it looks like I was unintentionally increasing 1 stitch almost every row, when I was supposed to be increasing 2 stitches every other row. So I got to my number a lot faster than I think I should have. And looking at these mitts side by side, they're the same length, so it doesn't really bother me. But it's just one of those things of I kind of wish they matched. I kind of wish they looked perfect. Because if you look at mitt number 1 here, is a smooth little line of where the thumb increases go. And if you look at the second mitt, you can see that it kind of sticks out a bit, it's too many stitches here almost, and then keeps going. I think that was partially just user error. I think I mentioned this in another video, but I have blocking mats coming on Friday, and today's currently Wednesday night. So I'm hoping when those come, I might just stick these on there, kind of see if I can get them to maybe look a little cleaner, or at least the thumb on this one to look a little cleaner. But yeah, overall really liked this pattern. This is again the Maze Mitts pattern by Tin Can Knits. I found the pattern on Ravelry. Again, I really liked it. I think it worked nicely. It even has little diagrams on it for how the mitts should look once they're completed, as well as clear indications as well on what section you're on. I've noticed with some patterns, not necessarily the Tin Can Knits, but other patterns, where it doesn't necessarily specify where you're at next or where you're at just in general on the pattern. And I feel like with this pattern, it's very detailed and very easy to tell. But yeah, that is it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions on this pattern or if you make it yourself. I'm hoping it's going to get a little cooler here in California. I can start wearing these. See you next week.